Okay, so this is what I have of the house so far. Finally has the part that I was like, don't look over there, spoilers. Um, so yeah, it's not done. Definitely not done. There's no roof because there's going to be a second floor, and that's not even started yet, really. But yeah, we're working on it. So this is from the side. This little bump out over here you'll see once I'm inside is the breakfast nook. These stairs go to a little back patio that's going to go down to a pool. Pool is not there yet. Just beginnings of a patio. The stairs aren't even complete yet, which you'll see when I get over there. But everything's kind of in place to make it look like how it will eventually. Give a rough form for how it's going to look eventually. So, um, yeah. So in through these windows, you can see the formal dining, and then I won't go over to the others right now. Maybe not at all. This one's the butler pantry, and then the side of the garage didn't change any. Not almost none of the garage. Actually, oh, I was gonna put the wall up before I did this. That's fine. Anyway, so the garage didn't change much. There's still beds inside because eventually things go in here, at least along the back wall, and I kind of want to know where I can space them out. But so this was the little section of wall I said I was going to put in and then forgot because I started this recording yesterday and then had to cancel it. And then while I was walking through just this first part, which is all I got to, I noticed that. I was like, oh yeah, the walls are done, and I was like, no, never mind. I'm missing this one section that would go to the upper level, but um, anyway. So this side over here doesn't have walls or anything else yet because I'm thinking, I'm not certain, actually. Yeah, anyway, I don't know how this is going to work roofing wise. Over in this section, I'll fly above it in a moment so you can see. Um, but uh, I'm not sure how the roof is going to go. I don't know if there's going to be like a second story right there. I might do that because of other issues that I was describing, or well, started to describe in my last video. Or the video that I didn't release because I canceled it. I started to describe it, and then right about then is when I canceled. Anyway, um, so I lost my train of thought. Yes, when I fly over, I'll describe those issues, um, like I had planned to. But this is, I think I maybe mentioned it. Maybe I didn't. It might be a surprise from a previous video, but this is a pass through into the pantry for groceries. So your car, full of groceries gets parked here, and then you can just unload them straight through into the pantry. I saw this in houses. Minnesota has this thing called the Parade of Homes, and they do it twice annually. And you get to walk through a whole bunch of different houses that builders put on display, right, for the year. Um, Very rarely, but occasionally they are like the same house from last year, but usually they're all new homes. So you just get to see a really wide gambit of what people come up with to put in houses. And there are really expensive luxury houses on the tour. And so you get to see some of the like extra creative things people can do if they've got the money for it. And this was one of the things, I don't remember what type of house, if it was just a normal house. I kind of think it was. Or if it was a more expensive house. But either way, they had this pass through into their pantry, and I was like, what the heck is that for? And there's always someone there that's in charge of the home, either from the builders or the um, real estate company, whichever. And there's always someone there. And so they explained that this is the butler pantry, or not the butler pantry, the grocery pass through so that you can go straight from the garage into your pantry with your groceries and not have to like lug them into the house, which makes a lot more sense with this design in terms of setting it up that way because to get to the pantry or just the kitchen in general, you have to go, if if you're parking here, you have to walk all the way over here and up these stairs with your groceries and into the house and then around and then over here is the kitchen. And so it's just like it's a very long trip to get there with groceries. And so, you know, Mika and I, when we do our groceries, one of us, unloads from the car, the other one meets them at the door to bring the stuff into the kitchen, and then it all just kind of gets piled on the counters until everything's out of the car, and then we can sort it. But this is so much better because you would still probably want someone inside unless you only have like one or two bags. Um, but you can have the person inside just kind of like pull them to other sections of the pantry while you push bags in. So yeah, anyway, neat thing that I saw in a home when I was on the Parade of Homes, and I was like, I am for sure having that in any house I ever have in the future. I will design it in because it's amazing. So, like I said, the garage didn't really change much, and then neither did this, but here's where we're going to fly. Okay, so here was my issue that I started to describe last time, and then didn't finish describing because reasons. But if I put a roof right here, it's going to push all of the rain. So it would be slanted like this one because over here would be a wall for the rest of the house. So it would have to slant down and away this way. And if it does that, all the rain gets dropped into the little sitting area, and that seems not great. Um, and I mean, it still would, even if this becomes part of the house, but it comes from higher up. I could maybe angle thing. Oops, I'm in the trees now. Danger of flying. I could maybe angle things so that it's gonna come more this way rather than this way when I do the top roof. I don't know. We'll see. But it at least gives me some options. So I might just extend this wall up and make this part of the second floor. That seems really smart. Anyway, I'll think about that. But that's kind of where I left off. Was I was debating what to do with the roof there because I was like, I don't know. I don't want it to dump rain immediately into the little sitting area. That makes it way less relaxing. So anyway, so the front again didn't change really. Actually, I did. Not that you can probably tell, because I had it set up pretty well in the first place. But I fixed right here. This is an individual piece, and I fixed it. It was a rectangular piece that just really didn't fit inside or out. I don't. If you go back to previous videos, you can kind of see on this side it's stuck out. There was like a little lip because it was a triangle, and the triangle was too wide to actually match this from side to side and connect up with the window, and so it just wasn't working well. So this is now two individual pieces. There's, if I can grab it, this one as well. This wooden one here, if I move it out of the way. Yeah, okay. Put it back properly. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's two different pieces, the outside and the inside pieces, and it makes it look proper, and it just so happy that I figured that out. Anyway, that was the only thing that really changed here. I did add little alarm systems at every door. There was only one here and one by the garage door, but I figured, if you're coming in and you've got a certain amount of time before the alarm goes off, I guess technically these two are close enough to this door to be fine. The other one's a little further away. It just felt better to have them at all the doors so that you can immediately get that situated, in case you're like carrying crying kids inside and like don't want to run across the room with them or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's lots of reasons that it could be handy just to have it right there as soon as you get in the door. Because they're usually on timers and you only have a certain amount of time to turn off the alarm. So anyway, not sure why you'd have the alarm running if you're in the backyard. Just in case someone set it thinking you weren't there or whatever. Nothing changed in the bathroom, nothing changed in this room either. Same thing here, I think. Nothing changed. Yeah. I'll go through this again with nighttime setup. But so like I said, if you come in with groceries, you're coming in here, and you have to go around that wall, and then finally, and then like there's not really grocery space until here. So it's so much. I guess you could shove it here too. But there's not. It's a lot of walking with bags that you're hoping aren't gonna like handles break or bust open the bottom if they're paper bags. Or even if they aren't, if they're like the fabric reusable ones, they are gonna have like, I don't know, they're still weighty. You've got groceries in them. And if you're me, you load yourself up with like 7 of them because you don't want to make lots of trips. So then it's really, really heavy. So anyway, I like the pass through. I loved that idea when I saw it. So okay, I don't think I actually, maybe I did. I don't remember how this was set up, but I did make some changes. So this is no longer like individual. So the floor has these individual planks of wood. This is now just like sections of. So it'd be like this whole top section was installed as one piece, and then there were the support beams, the 3 of those, installed as separate pieces. That was sort of the look I went with for the wood because I can't have all of this go the same direction. So yeah, it made sense in my head. I think it still makes sense regardless, building wise. I think that you'd probably build it this way. This is that breakfast nook. I'll walk over there in a minute. And then this is that other door that I said was really far away. So from there, you'd have to get to here to turn off the alarm. So I put another alarm system there. This is kind of a narrow hallway. I'm going to put some art over here. I put a window in to try and help make it not feel so claustrophobic. I'd love thoughts. Anyway, so in through the kitchen, so you can see this was not finished before this butler pantry area, and then over here the formal dining wasn't done, but all the rest of this is almost the same. Guess what I got to do though? So in here, there are shelves now. I was very clever, I think. I think I was clever, and I added shelves, and I'm very excited about them. So you get to be excited with me because I was really, really, really excited. I plan to add more. Right now, I only have them in the ones that have the glass, so like these upper ones don't have any shelves. I plan to fill everything with shelves, but I ran out of energy for that, so I took a detour. But I also did this. I think no, I know in a previous video I mentioned like imagine that there's something blocking off this top section because there would be piping the um from the stovetop there, the gas stovetop would need some sort of pipes running to it to provide that gas. So I blocked it off with wood. Like there's a whole actually I hope this goes back where I put it. If not, I'll just put it back later. But I like the top and bottom, there's a whole little covering there. Not that you can see the bottom even when you crouch, but for completionist's sake, because that's who I am, I did top and bottom. Um, the shelves that I'm so excited about, I found out I'm a little bit annoyed. So these corner ones obviously still need a shelf, but I can no longer open this cabinet because the one that goes in there, if I go in here and pull out these, there's like a little, you can kind of see the wood grain if you look closely, I guess. But this is going this way, then there's a wood grain one going this way to kind of make the back of that shelf. And then there's this cornering piece. And that piece apparently, even though it fits inside visually, has some sort of like corner that extends outwards that's not like visible. So an invisible corner that extends forwards, and it goes forwards quite a bit. It kind of makes it look like the piece is actually designed as a square. Um, so yeah, it looks like maybe that wasn't designed to be an actual triangle and more like a square. And so it's blocking my ability. I either have to leave the door open, which looks terrible and I don't like it, or I have to pull the shelves out, close it, and then do undo to get them to go back in so that they are there with the door closed, which is how it is right now. And that's why the door won't open because it thinks there's something trapped inside the glass window, which obviously visually there's not. So a little bit annoying, but whatever. Anyway, so this is the pantry, the butler pantry area. Here's that pass through from the garage that I opened before. So in the garage, it's a little high up. Here, it's a little bit low. That was the compromise I had to come up with because I made this house a little weird in terms of like the main floor is elevated off of the ground level. You have to go up steps to get in. Um, so the pass through is a little bit wonky elevation wise, but I think it's fine. There's light switches here that turn on these lovely lights that go over the pantry portion. And then there's also a light switch here for the overhead light. And then there's a light switch on that end for the one that's above the sink. I figure you probably don't need to turn that on from this side. It's really only if you're over there using the sink or the stove, and especially really at night. I put a window at the far end, so, sorry. And there's a second fridge, obviously, second, and then a second set of both the electric and gas burners in here and a full sink for itself. I didn't put a dishwasher in here. There's two in over here. You're not really planning, like, there's no plan to have um, the dishes stored in here. This is just pantry stuff. So there's no point in having a dishwasher in here. You would have to pull your dishes over to cook in here. Um, or maybe you could keep some, spares in here for this, but primarily this is pantry, so there's not a dishwasher in here to go along with any of this. I'll have to do another similar thing like over there underneath here for the gas stove. But otherwise, this is all set up the way that I kind of wanted it to be. Here's the light for over the sink. Nice little light. Like I said, window. And then this door goes into the formal dining from one of the sides. And then there's light switches here. One is for the overhead, like the light in the over the table, and you could at night. I'll show how it looks with just one versus all the lights on. And then this is for like more lighting. I can't remember which actually makes the room brighter at this moment. If it's having all the side lights on at once, I feel like that was more ambiance lighting, and then the one over the table ends up being really bright by itself. So you could just run the over the table light, but if you wanted sort of an ambiance thing, then it would be I think that's these side lights. I don't think that they cast enough light into the room to make it really bright in here. But this is formal dining, so candlesticks and a table runner, and this table is a giant disaster of a table, just so you know how hard I worked on this. This is multiple tables in one table. Pull a bunch of them out. You can see they're small. So I had to like stuff them all together to make one long table that looked nice. Make all the pleating look nice and whatever. So it's a lot of tables. But they don't have the ability to stretch any of the tables, and none of them were long enough for this with a tablecloth. There's not a. I really wish that more of the tables in game just had a toggle for tablecloth or no tablecloth, because then you'd have more options in terms of length. But they don't. What would be especially nice is if you could just adjust their size to whatever you wanted them to be, all the tables, because they all have different designs to them, and especially like the leg portions and whatnot. If you're using a tablecloth, that's the only thing that really shows anyway. But it'd be nice to be able to choose from different leg styles and choose tablecloth, no tablecloth, and how long they are. If there's no tablecloth, then the tables all look incredibly different, and it'd be really nice to be able to make some of them longer or shorter or whatever, so that you get more variety. But once again, it's not my game. I don't get to make those choices. So this is not custom in terms of I didn't make it. I just found a picture. But custom art that wasn't already in the game. There are some that you can just choose from. I pulled this one from online. And then some plants over in the corner just to kind of make the corner not empty. That's where also the light switches are. So when you come in, you turn them on from this side. Um, these doors lock in case you want to keep people out, but this one I don't think does. Yeah, that one's not locked. So, I mean, if you don't want kids running around in here, you might lock these doors, but they're still going to be able to get in from the other side. I think these also control. Oh, I lied. No, these light switches are for these lights in here. Okay. So this was all the same in here, aside from, like I said, we can see in now into the formal dining, and it's all done. I wasn't quite sure. So from this vantage point, you can see into that pantry. And I wasn't quite sure how awkward that is. Obviously, this doesn't have a doorway to it. It's just floor to ceiling open. Um, I could throw a door there, but when I tried, it looked weird to me. And it it really closed off the space. It did. And I didn't want it to feel like super enclosed. I wanted it to feel more open. Plus, it closes off this space. So whereas now, when you look down that way, you don't see the pantry. You just see the arches, which actually looks nice, especially with the lights on. Actually, turn those on because they look pretty great from a distance. But yeah, just like I think I would leave those on most of the day just because they look nice to see the arches all lit up like that, these little wooden arches. But I thought, seeing out through this window kind of helps give the space a little bit, I don't know. It doesn't close it off. Um, I like pulling in nature even if it's not going to be in the room. So the window helps pull in the nature from a distance. So you don't feel like it's just a lot of wood and stone and metal and whatnot. So to me, that's why I did this. But like I said, you can see then into the pantry, and especially from these angles, you can see a lot more of the pantry. I wasn't sure how great that was. I'd appreciate thoughts on that as well, but I think it's probably fine, maybe. I don't know. I thought about, like, in a real house, because I can't do it in the game, I thought about maybe, like, having some sort of door, like even something that would roll up, so maybe it's not like wood, but would roll and pull across here to kind of block it off. Or like a screen maybe that could be unfolded behind here in front of the pantry so that it would be blocked from view, but you could still see the arch part. I think that would look really nice. Obviously, like I said, I don't have the like ability to do that in the game or even show that it should exist without it looking really weird. So it doesn't exist, but that's kind of my mental thought is maybe there's like a folding screen that goes behind that is wood, maybe even that just collapses into several little thinner partitions back behind that pillar, and then you can pull it over across your pantry to just kind of hide things. Anyway, I'm not going to worry too much about that, but that is just, I don't know. If you have thoughts, send thoughts. Okay. So then this is the little breakfast nook alcove. I did decide to build it in a little jut out just for the breakfast nook. Put in some windows, nice wallpaper, same wallpaper that's in there. Just kind of extend that feel a little bit. Put in a wood divider piece, and then these are just floating, so they're like installed into the walls. Floating bench things. The cushions are removable in case they need to get washed because it's the eating area. And then the table can be moved out so that it's easy to clean. Yeah, like an installed table piece. And then, okay, so I'm going to do this. We're going to go over here. And I'm going to show you from this side the, what is it called? Living room, family room, whatever you want to call it a den. Some people call it a den. I think those are usually downstairs. Maybe I'm crazy. Anyway, this is that. Whatever you call this space, this is that. So, uh, I've got, okay, section. So the sectional, obviously. These three pillows belong here. These two were pulled down from children's bedrooms. So when I eventually build the upstairs and get the bedroom situated, these are the patterns that will exist in those bedrooms. So they're like they got interrupted in a study session, right? So things are still out from studying. I like that the notebook says chill out. That's the older brother. This is all like story based, right? In my head. So older brother's notebook, um, and then the younger daughter's notebook. And I kind of have this imagining that she's just like loves everything about her older brother because he's significantly older, and so like she's always trying to copy him, and so he's got a lot of dark blues that he uses, so she always picks lighter blues to kind of be like, it's his color, but they always want me to be girly and cute, so I'm gonna pick a lighter version of that color. So like even here, he's got a darker blue pen and she's got a lighter blue pen, and I just thought it was really cute to have it set up that way. So we've got blinds over this window in case you want privacy when you're watching a movie. Maybe it's like the adults watching an adult film that the kids shouldn't see or something. I don't know, whatever. But in case you want some privacy, I did end up putting doors here. I wasn't going to originally. I was going to have it all be really open because I like openness. But I remembered how annoying it is when either A, there's TV noise and you're trying to have a conversation somewhere else and the person's watching it really loud, or you're trying to watch the TV and there's a conversation going on and you can't hear it super well, and then you end up turning it up and it's like this battle of no one can hear what they're trying to hear. So I added doors and walls and windows and whatnot. So there's curtains to kind of black out the room if you want for like a movie viewing situation, whatever. But um, I added doors and things so that it would be appropriate to watch things in here without it interrupting anything else. Also another neat thing that I did because I really wanted a coffee table. I feel like a room's not really complete as a living room if it doesn't have a coffee table. You kind of want something, some place to set things on. But I also wanted these little like they're not really TV trays anymore at this point, but they are. I don't know what you call them now. They're so much nicer than the TV trays of yesteryear. But whatever you would want to call this side tabley thing that is portable, I wanted these, and there's not really any storage space in here for them. You can see that the sectional goes wall to wall, really in here. Um, so I made a center table out of them, and I think it turned out looking really nice. Like the design of the base. Let me put this piece where it would go. Ah, don't do that. 1 second. Sorry, you're seeing my weird character's feet. Okay. So that's how it looks like when it's all assembled. And the base kind of looks cool with the openings like from either the left or the right, and then the two going in from either side in the middle. I just thought it looked really neat. Personally, I like it a lot. I'm leaving it. I don't care what anyone else says, but I was really proud of it. So that was my solution for not having storage space to put these little TV trays so that they could be used in the room. Because again, this house is built for entertaining. There's so many seats everywhere. And with such a large sectional, I mean, you imagine that, game day or whatever, you're inviting people over to come watch the game with you, or doing a movie thing or whatever it is, you're going to have people over here. And the more of these that you have available, the more people can, have their snacks and whatever and chill and maybe not make a mess. It's kind of my thing. So I thought, 6 of them is a good number. If you have more people than that, this sectional definitely would fit more than 6 people. If you have more people than that, they just share, kind of thing. But it seemed like a good fit for the space. It doesn't take up too much space. You can walk all the way around it still. It felt comfortable. So, um, this would be for DVDs, maybe some art up here. I might. They do have like, oh, and games. They do have game title cases as part of like what you can design with. So this will get filled in, at least with some stuff. I might not fill it all the way. That's a lot of work, but um, maybe I will. Who knows? Who knows how crazy I get at some point? Maybe I just need to focus on a tiny, tedious task and let my brain unwind. But for now, there's nothing in there. But I built a built-in with shelves and stuff. So the shelves are all individual as well, each of them. And then this is more of that blue and blue thing. So the older brother has these darker blue headset and little controller for gaming, and then the younger sister has the lighter blue ones. And it's so cute. I did the same thing with the backpack. I don't know if that was noticed before. I'll walk back over by it before I wrap up for the daylight version of this. But um, yeah, I was just like, I thought it was adorable. Okay, so there's light switches. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I'm a big fan of having light switches like everywhere. Convenience. So, um, they're on both sides of this door because you might go in. I'll show you the left-hand side or the right-hand side, I guess, if you're facing this way. When you go to the right, there's a whole other space hidden back there, obviously. And so you might just enter and go immediately to the right because that's where you're going when I show you what that space is. Or maybe you're coming in here and then these ones are more convenient. So I have light switches on both sides of this door. But these are the ambient lights or ambiance lights. They are just controlling these two for movies. At nighttime, you'll see just how dark it is with just those two on. It's pretty dark, but there's just sort of subtle, you can see what you're snacking on lights. And then this is for the overhead lights, both of them, in both spaces. And then the other one also has little lights that I will describe properly in a second. So, my favorite, I put little, you can actually see the back sides of these because these are supposed to be kitchen cabinets, but I was like, they're getting repurposed. So they are bookshelf cabinets now, and so I built bookshelves in here. So you've got like a little reading nook that's tucked away in private. I freaking love it. So this light switch controls these three lights that light up the bookshelf. Really nice there. And then this upper light switch. Oh wait, that was also for those. My bad, I lied. Um, this one. Wah! I didn't want to sit down. Oh no. This one turns on the little reading lights. That's what I didn't want to call them and give the space away. Oh, it's supposed to turn on both of them. What happened there? Oh, right. No, it doesn't. That's right. That's right. Because if someone's watching TV and they don't want the light on from in here, then you could sit at this spot and turn on just that one, or sit at this spot and turn on just that one. So they each get their own little private light switch for the light that goes above the seat. So that was that. And you can see kind of out onto the patio from here, the back patio that will be by the pool. And like I said, this window just goes to that hallway to make it not feel so enclosed. It also helps make this space not feel as enclosed. I was really worried about that, so talk through something real quick. So this room, I wasn't sure if my breakfast nook was going to be its own little bump out. Actually, let me go out there as I describe this. I was thinking about having a window right here, because then more light and less claustrophobic for a little nook, but I didn't end up doing that. I will put some art here. I haven't finished artifying everything. That takes a lot of time, and so when I don't have the energy for it, I just work on the building part. But some of it is like, this is too cute. I have to do it. I have to. So when things stick in my brain that are like, you have to do it, I do it. But especially art on the walls is really hard. There's not a lot in the game yet, so it feels a little bit stifling, and it makes me avoid it. Anyway, I thought about putting a window here and having this just be its own little bump out nook on all sides. So all three sides would just have windows. And I ended up not doing that because when I put this wall, I think it was actually like right here is where the wall goes, but this space felt too small for this house. This house is large. And so to have a really tight, enclosed um, living room, it felt at odds with the rest of the build. So I ended up making this a wall, and then I still didn't want, when I had the TV all the way over here where the windows are, it felt really far away from the sectional. And I could have moved the sectional closer, but then that felt weird, like with the rest of the space. And again, you can make this hallway a little wider so it's not so narrow and cramped and, whatever. There are other things that could have been done, but I didn't want this to feel like a small space. I wanted it to feel large. So I feel like while it's closed off as this like separate section, it's still part of the bigger room, and you can see that when you come in, and it kind of gives this room, while two small spaces, a wider feeling to it because they are ultimately all one space. So that's what I went with instead of making the breakfast nook a three-sided, three-windowed, well, technically it's two windows, but you know, three sides all windowed. No, that was the whole thought process there. Does this one turn on? Yeah, the overhead light. That's what I thought. Okay, so there's a light switch next to the door for the overhead light. And then we'll go out here. So this is the patio so you can see I started with just some deck chairs, kinda, for the pool. So this will be leading down to a pool that will have the same sort of floor covering around it, that'll stretch out in the back here. And then originally I had these up on the patio, and I decided I really don't like how that looked, and I want them down by the pool. So they're on the ground for now, but I didn't want to get rid of them because I'll use them. Okay, so this is the door closer to the stairs. At one point in a different video, oh, sorry, I got hiccups. I keep having to stop. Okay. Oh, and you can see the patio from I guess that would be one difference from the office. What was originally is you could see out onto the patio, and eventually you'll be able to see out towards the pool. But I had mentioned wanting this door because otherwise, if you're trying to get in from the pool or out to the pool rather immediately, like if you see something happening through this window and you're like, oh no, you can rush out this door rather than having to go all the way down to that one. So it's got two doors coming out to this patio down to the pool. And then finally, the last thing about the patio, it's going to have these little corner stair sections, but they are a pain in the butt to build because there is no cornered stair. You can't turn it on an angle like that. So I'm making it out of a bunch of little pieces and then manually moving them into place with the, like, not really a dev tool, it's a tool that's given as part of the game, but you don't get it in story mode. It's only in the sandbox build your fantasy mode. So this will have like a cornered stair over here. And then, you've got a railing. I wanted to make sure there are plenty of railings since I've got that bad foot. And I hate when stairs don't have railings. They are so hard for me to walk up and down. So this one has railings. But this is the one that I said, from that other view where I was like, oh, you can see the stairs, but they're not finished. This is the side that's like completely unfinished. So that's what it looks like until I start moving in piece by piece all of the little corner options. I tried at one point making this be, instead of like three different pieces, one long piece and rotating that in. And that would have worked, except for it messes up. For some reason, the single pieces don't do this, but the long piece like stretched out the texture of this bottom half. The top half was fine. This little strip right here looked completely normal. But the bottom half, the texture was all stretched and warped, and it looked really bad. So it ended up being three little pieces, which makes it even more tedious, which is why it's not done. But yeah, that's the house so far. Let me just, I talked about the backpack. I really do want to show that because I don't know how much was remembered, but light blue, same, actually I didn't even think about that. It's kind of the inverse of the heart one for the pillow that's in the other room. But the darker blue, and then his coat is the darker blue, and then the light blue backpack because she wants to be like her brother. And same thing with the shoes. Like they're kind of a compromise where the kid's shoes have some pink on them because she's a girl and parents want her to be cute and girly, but she really, really, really wants to mimic her amazing older brother. So they've got blue on them too, like a lighter blue to mimic his darker blue there. I don't know, little touches like that. Oh, this was something else I forgot to show in a previous video. It was there. You can kind of see the edge of it in one of the walkthroughs. But originally this welcome home had an actual O. An O where that heart was. And then I didn't, well, I found the heart and I thought it was way too cute. And I just couldn't resist using it. But I decided that probably like the parents would have done this originally with the O. And then because this is light up, I don't remember if I clicked it on and off before. If I didn't, it lights up. You can click it on and off. It's like one of those kid lights where you press on it to click it on and off. You can tell by the sound that it's a different than a light switch kind of thing. Like if I turn on this light manually, oh, I can't do it because it's a light switch turn. If I turn it on manually, there's no sound because this has its own function for pressing it on and off. Anyway, not the point. So it seems like one of those, not quite dollar store, but like, you're walking through the kids aisle of something and they've got night lights. And I'm pretty sure that's what this is meant to be. There's 3 different varieties of it. One's a little cloud, one's a moon, and then one's this heart. And they all light up differently. But I think that this is meant to be a nightlight. And so I imagine that the youngest daughter found it and was like, I really want to do this. And kind of like begged and pleaded with her parents to please, please, please use this for this spot. And they acquiesced and then took down the O, which is still here so that it could be put back if they ever want to. It's just kind of its final resting spot as things, end up doing where you're like, all right, we're not using this, but I don't really have a spot that I'm going to store it because where would make sense? And you just kind of set it someplace nearby, so it's up there now. That was the thought. And the keychains, I don't think I spent any time talking about them, but the keychains are light blue and dark blue too, like all the other stuff, because she just, that's my theme. That's my theme in my head, is that she freaking adores her brother and wants to be as similar to him in all of her things as she can. So lots of light blue where she can get away with it, where she doesn't have to wear like the pinks or the whites or whatever to look more girly. So that was it. That was all I had to say about this one. It should be everything for this build. I'm gonna turn off this light, and then I'm gonna come walk through it at night. All right, see you at nighttime. So for this nighttime recording, I went a different route than I usually do. I think usually I don't have all the lights on when I start it, and I turn them on as I get to them. But I turned all of the lights in the house on instead, partially for this part, so that when I'm looking at the side of the house, you can see in all the windows. I thought that would be nice. So this is what it looks like from the side, seeing into the formal dining, which again, like that one video I mentioned, like pretty much never gets used, right? Because it's formal dining. So this would always just look this nice from the street, which is kind of nice to have for a house, like a space that just from the front always looks fancy and nice. Whatever. Anyway, just my thought. Then obviously the pantry, and I talked about that in real life. I think I'd like something behind these arches that kind of like closed off the shelves. If it was like a folding screen or something that I could pull out. I'm not sure why the light in the background's doing that weird thing in the other room, but that's just a weird game glitch. It looks like it's doing that in a few places, actually. Weird. Okay, well, I'm gonna ignore that. Maybe it's my computer dying. Anyway, so there's not really anything to see in here. There's still not a light in the garage because I don't have full ceilings in there, so I haven't planned where all the lights go, so I'm not gonna even walk in there. I'll do that some other time. There are lights. These lights are the same. Front lights are the same. Everything's mostly the same. I won't have to talk a ton in this one. This will be a shorter portion than the initial walkthrough during the day. So, we'll mention, as you look down here, it looks really dark and gloomy. I forgot about ceiling lights. So I gotta fix that and figure out where to put switches for them and where to put the lights now that I have full ceilings going all the way down, because that's the thing, is this used to cut off right here. And so even though it's nighttime, you tend to get some natural light coming through. What the heck is over here? Where are those supposed to go? Oh no, one's supposed to go there. Oh no. What did I do? Okay, well, I'll have to fix that later. Okay. Anyway, so let me just make sure everything else is still lined up properly. Looks like maybe it is. So, yeah, but that, so I did notice that it's dark going down the hallway, and I will be fixing that with ceiling lights, but for now it's dark, and I'll just, when there's a future video with other edits, I will change that. So nothing changed in here, nothing changed in this little mudroom either. This is what this looks like going out to the patio, which I kind of, like I said, I didn't show that last time with the daylight, but this is what you would see out the window. I didn't put any seats in front of here because this is an office, so it's just going to be empty in front of these windows because that felt nicer than putting chairs in that would block the view. So it'll just see out to the pool. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, here's where it gets really dark because there's no overhead lighting. But again, I'll fix that. So going out to the pool area, this is into the living room. You already saw what the kitchen looks like, but with the shelves, you can see the shelves now without having to open them to see them, so you can kind of see what they look like from a distance. And again, I will be fixing the rest of these to have shelves at some point, probably, unless I just really decide I hate the idea of putting in that effort, but I should hope I wouldn't. And then that's the little cubby thing I made to protect the non-existent like gas lines that should be underneath this part. And then this is what this looks like all lit up. So pretty nice and bright, not too bad. I'm gonna turn some lights off. This is a part that we haven't really seen without lighting. I've shown pretty much everything else without lighting, or all the lighting actually. Let me turn this one too. But at nighttime, when you're not using this space, and imagine there's not a glow coming through here because that's technically from the other room, which if I turned off those lights, you'd see that, but I'm not going to worry about it. But this is kind of what you'd get, is just seeing the illuminated set here with the shelves. So I will stock those at some point with some of the more grocery-ish items that they have in game. I wish they put grocery bags or something similar, or like cardboard boxes like what you get from Costco. That'd be kind of nice. Anyway, not that you'd really want those sitting around on your shelf, but just something to add a little bit more decoration than the same box over and over and over again. Anyway, so I'll put some of those in later. Obviously, I would walk through that when I do. This is that thing. Oops. If I close that first, I can't close this one. All right. So then if I turn this back on, but without the other overhead light, maybe I turn this off. That's what that would look like if you didn't have the shelves all illuminated. I think mostly they'd just be on all the time, probably. Just waste the electricity. It looks nicer. So this is, I mean, that's a good amount of overhead lighting for this space. I only really needed the one light for that, so I felt like it accomplished what it needed to. And then this one, like I said, goes over the sink. So if you were in here just using like the sink and the whatever area and you didn't want a bunch of light, you could turn off the overhead light and just have this one, and it's pretty bright all on its own. So that's that. And then in here, this is what this one looks like, all lit up. So again, I pointed out these lights around the side. Let's see. This should be the overhead. Yeah, that's the. Okay. So this is a little bit of ambiance lighting. That's what this does feel like. I'll see what the overhead is by itself, but this does feel a little bit more like ambiance, like you could light these candles and actually see what's going on with them. Let the lights shine on the picture nicely. Yeah. Okay. So then let me turn that back on and that one off. Oh, that's also ambiance. Ooh, that's really nice and dark. Okay, well, they're both kind of different versions of ambiance lighting, I guess. So yeah, so these are the like three options for lighting this space if you want it really lit up, or only a little lit up, or like super almost not lit up and just focus on the table. Um, so yeah, those are the lighting options, and then turn that off once we're done in here. You can see like light bleed through in here too. Just I don't know, annoying to me. Okay, then out here again, nothing changed from before. This is the little alcove space, the breakfast nook, with lighting. Oh shoot! I just noticed that I forgot to paint these. I'm just gonna show you the tools real quick and do that. Oops. Paint here. I don't want this to be wallpapered. That's terrible to me. So I wouldn't wallpaper inside of the the window sill area. That's preposterous. Where is this end? I know it doesn't really matter, but I try and be like really precise with where I am changing things, just in case. And I wasn't grabbing that one correctly. Okay, and then what do I need? Shoot, what does my across look like? It's a beam, I don't know. Or, maybe I do. I'll try to place that. Nope, that one. Yeah, that's. Oh, 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 no. Alright. Sort of. Otherwise, it looks terrible. Yeah, okay. I just didn't want like the little cuts to look super weird. I thought maybe I would avoid that. This one looks nicer than this one, but I'll leave it. I think it looks fine enough. Okay. I'm just gonna switch back to this because the paint hand thing will make me crazy. Okay. So yeah, that's what that space looks like all lit up. If I turn it off, you get light bleed, but otherwise it would just get dark enough at night. And then, let's see. Okay. So then in here, all lit up at night. Like this is a good amount of light. You can see everything. It also kind of still feels cozy and a little bit dark. Not too bright. Where it's like, oh my gosh, overwhelming light when it's nighttime. This one maybe is a little bit brighter, but you can always turn that off. So like this, or actually, if I turn off the overhead lights, then this becomes a lot more cozy back here. So say these were off and you were just using the seating lights, which I expect mostly those would just be on, but these are how the seats are illuminated. So it's a nice like it's a good amount of light to read by, but it's also not super in your face so that it won't distract from movies happening over here. And that's what these lights look like, by the way, for the movie area. So it's not super intrusive lighting. Here, let me turn off this one and this one so that it really gets the feel of like this is how dark it would be for a movie. But you can still see to grab your snacks and stuff. Was the plan. If I turn off the movie lighting, this one, yeah, okay. And then I just turn on this and this and this. And this space is nice and like bright, but still cozy. So that's kind of the goal, to make it cozy, give cozy vibes. um, modern, upscale, cozy vibes. So that's all of that. I don't have lights outside. I'm still gonna walk out there, but there's nothing really to show out here light-wise. Like I really need to put some lights on the back side of the house so that this isn't dark at night, because that's awkward and weird, and maybe you want to swim in the pool at night. Um, but yeah, especially right here, this doorway ends up being really dark if there aren't lights bleeding through from inside the house like that. Then it's pretty dark. So yeah, but you can see like there's like this natural ambient light and or ambient. That's the word I was looking for. Ambient light, and so it's like I don't know. I didn't notice how dark it was in here until I put in a ceiling and blocked out all of the ambient light. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it gets so dark. This would terrify me. So yeah, I need to put in some ceiling lights through here to fix that a bit. Over here probably doesn't need any. Maybe one by this door. But definitely here I'm going to have to add some. So that'll be in the next video. I'll try and remember to show ceiling lights. But otherwise, everything else got done ceiling light wise. So yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all for nighttime view of this place. I really like it. I like how the lights um, change how everything feels in here. Uh, it gets more cozy, but it's still not too dark to see. And in some places, like this one with all the white tile, it really reflects the light a lot. And so you end up seeing, I mentioned this in a previous video, but like all these accessories, the door handles and whatnot. I imagine in real life your eyes would work better than how the camera works, and so you'd see the colors of these accessories anyway. But it does, I think it would at night time still add something visually to how they turn out, how rose gold the rose gold is, and all of that. So yeah, I really like how this came out. Okay, that's where I am at so far. I've got the basement to do now, and the upstairs. I'm not sure which I'll start next. I'm debating. It might be upstairs. Oh, well, actually, no. I'm doing the pool next. As frustrating as that sounds to me right now, but I'm going to do that next, and then I'm going to do probably the upstairs because I think I'd like a roof over the house before I continue with anything. It looks really weird right now without a roof. It's bothering me. I don't know if I walked into the basement. I'm gonna quick do that. You've never seen the disaster that it is right now. So the stairs started off really narrow at the top because of how the wall had to be here. Otherwise, it just felt like it was too tight up at the top. In the front entryway, it was just like this giant wall in your face. What is this? I've got a hole in my wall. Okay, well, I'll be fixing that. But there's this space under the stairs. This is gonna have like a pool table and some other stuff, like a billiard table. Was my plan. Just kind of like, I don't know, a little spot back there, maybe a dartboard. Then you come over here, ignore the fact that you could fall through the world right here, and that that's going off into nowhere. I don't remember if I fixed what that was headed towards or if I still need to fix it, so it's still there for now. This is under the garage, so it had to be a step down because the garage is lower ceiling-wise, right, like that. So tall people are going to have to duck to get in here. Or maybe I should pull that back a little. I might do that. I'll probably pull this back a little way so that the stairs can start your gradual descent. Because that's quite the, yeah, height change, just dropping in. Anyway, I'm a short person. I don't think of these things naturally. But this is a room down here. I don't know what it'll get used for. I don't know what any of these will get used for. This will eventually extend out to where this is. All of this like outer edge, that's the bottom 3 bricks of the house where it's gray colored. So all of that is basementable in my opinion because all of this falls underneath the house properly rather than this would be underneath yard. So at some point the wall here will get finished. I wasn't sure what the space was going to end up being, if I was going to do the bump out, not do the bump out, all the stuff. So I didn't finalize these walls yet, but now I can because now I know what the main floor framework looks like. So Maybe if the top floor feels too frustrating, I might come down here and work on this next, but I also just really don't have a clear picture in my head for what I want to do with all this basement space. All I really know is the billiard, and then I want like uh, stadium seating theater, like an in-home stadium seating theater. So that might be this room actually. That this would be a good tucked away room for that probably. And then maybe another den and a kids like play area, like a I don't know. The kid in the story isn't really small enough for that anymore, but probably it would still exist as a like hangover from when she was small. So probably a play area. Um, I'll figure out stuff. There'll be stuff. There'll be stuff. I don't know yet, but that's the basement. So from this view, sorry, I've got hiccups again. Oh boy. Um, from this view, you can see that the stairs are wider down here than they are at the top, and that was just like I the door's only so wide, so you don't need to pass someone going through at the top. But I wanted it so that if someone was going up, someone else could be going down. Yeah, maybe not wide enough for that, but I'm gonna pretend because this feels wide enough. But anyway, someone could go up and someone could go down at the same time and not like, oh, dance around, turn sideways, try and get past each other kind of thing, or one person at a time only, someone has to back up, whatever. Um, so I wanted this wide enough that you could like mostly get all the way up the stairs and then have to squish in to go through the door. So obviously, like as you get up to here, you're too tall to fit under the ceiling, but you could still like up until around here, you could still, you know, pass people. So it doesn't feel so bad. Anyway, that was my thought. So that's the basement. It's completely undone so far, but it'll get there at some point. Maybe next time. Okay, that's all I have.